I did not know that I was actually going to do FA well, doing this more like a side thing as a student. In fact, I turned down a scholarship, so I lost about $100,000 of scholarship money just to pursue financial advisory because 6 months into it, I realized that hey, the economic potential of it is way faster, way better than going into like a full-time corporate job. In this business, time is money. First since when I was 21, when I hired my first virtual assistant, that was the start of a business mindset. It means the shift from becoming an operator to becoming an owner. If I can spend 3K to earn 20K, I would definitely spend it. Every dollar that you put in is just another investment. One biggest regret that I have is that I didn't start my mentorship journey earlier. So all these failures, all these mistakes, lessons I've made has helped me, and it has transferred into like battle scars that I can like. Leadership is also a sacrifice. I lost about $180,000 of sales this year just to manage a team.
People that want to join your team, what are you looking out for?
Yeah, so there's actually 4 qualities that we're looking out for. So
hi everyone. We've been doing quite a few number of podcasts now,
yeah,
but we've not really shared about ourselves or given you a backstory of what we do. So I was thinking,
it's time for us to interview each other. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So when you were in NUS, you were hitting 10K a month just by doing FA. What was that like?
Yeah. So actually, guys, I've been an FA for about 9-10 years already. So all that was actually done since 2016. That was my first like time I was actually exposed to this FA industry. So in fact, how I got to know this business was through this guy. He just told me, hey, there's some financial papers that you can do, and I was right outside NS, and there was really I was just looking for like a part-time job to do, and that's how I started to take the papers first. I didn't really know that I was actually going to do FA as like a real business. It was just like, okay, I'm just gonna get paid, take some exams, and earning money as a FA was really just not the main priority lah. But after I finished the papers, I got to know the FA industry. I thought, why not learn financial advisory and become a financial consultant? And what better way to learn finance than actually being a financial consultant, right? So I knew that money management was one of the most important things that schools don't teach, and that's why I wanted to start and try out this business. And I did not know that I was actually going to do FA well. In fact, I was doing this more like a side thing as a student. But the more I got to do it, the more I realized that it's actually quite a good business potential. In fact, I turned down a scholarship, so I lost about $100,000 of scholarship money just to pursue financial advisory because 6 months into it, I realized that hey, the economic potential of it is way vaster, way better than going into like a full-time corporate job and being an engineer. Yeah, so that's how I got started and scaled. And I hired my first virtual assistant when I was 21. So I did not know at that point of time, but that was the start of my journey today. Right now I also run a few companies. We hire staff. We kind of like do things at a cheaper price. That means we hire people at a lower price, and then we mark up like a certain percentage and then sell like marketing services or virtual assistant services to business owners. And I would say that would be one of the secrets that helped me become successful is about how I scaled, how I delegated, how I outsourced and created systems and processes for myself so that I can focus on FA, but also have time for myself and also study full time and do well in school as well.
But before we get into the business side of things, when you were without all that, just starting out, what were the few things that you took to get to 10K a month?
I would say it would be sheer thick skin, actually. So I think nowadays, like the generation, we are like called the strawberry generation. Even for the financial advisors that I coach, they, I mean, people nowadays like think that it's so easy, right? Social media, you see all the success stories, you see people doing so well, but they don't really understand what it took to get there, right? People want the view, but they don't want the climb, right? And I think part of what helped me was actually my journey as a tennis player. For about 6 years, from 12 to 18, I was like really grinding it out on the court. And so what tennis taught me was that it's all about the reps. It's all about consistency. It's about the grind. And I kind of like translated that mindset into FA. Like if that person can do 10 calls in a day, why can't I do 50 calls? Right? If that person can do 1 hour of work, why can't I do 3 hours of work? Right? It's about outdoing someone else. It's about having that competitive spirit that if this person is doing this to earn 2K a month, I'm gonna 5x and 10x. So having that 10x mindset really helped me to get an edge to make my first 10K a month. And I did that in my first year in this business. I hit about 145K of income in my first year. So that was excess of 12K a month while doing this part-time, just 2 to 3 hours a day.
How old were you?
I was 21 years old at the point of time.
So what did it feel like earning that amount of money at 21?
I think it's validating. It did not give me a sense of
ego
like,
boost.
ego. I feel like ego definitely is the biggest enemy of people who are successful. Like people who are complacent, people who are successful. That's really the biggest destroyer. Right? Having that ego that, oh, you've made it, and then you stop there. All right, I've closed a big case last month, or maybe that's why I should rest this month. Yeah. In fact, I still remember I was. That's why I love public holidays, right? Because public holidays is like a day where people rest. But for me, it's like a day for me to get ahead. So I love Sundays. I love, public holidays. Today is Deepavali. We are shooting this video now. It's about finding that small little pockets of time that people don't really know existed, right? That little, travel time from MRT to school. That little bits of time in between lectures. That bits of time before you sleep, right? There's always time that you can force in some work. And I realized that a lot of people tend to have that limiting belief that because there's no time, right? Because I'm too busy, because I'm in school now, because it's too risky, because it's too expensive, then they don't actually ever get started. But actually, every one of us have that 24 hours a day. All of us have the same resources as one another. How is it that someone can do better than the other person? Is really just boils down to how you actually spend your time, right? So in this business, time is money, right? And I would say time is worth more than your money. So you have to understand your true hourly rate. If your hourly rate is $100 per hour, anything that's $10, $20, you have to outsource. Yeah.
How do you stay grounded?
It's about knowing that there's so much out there. There's so many more successful people out there. And that's why environment is so important. If you're in an environment where people are telling you, hey, why are you working so hard? Why are you so healthy? Why are you drinking your smoothies every day? Why are you gymming? Then maybe that environment, that community is actually bringing you down, right? So it's with this great humility that I know that, hey, there's always a mountain above every mountain. There's always someone better than you. And the more you know, you realize that actually the more you don't know. The more you understand, the more you understand that you don't actually understand a lot of things at all, right? And it's about having that mindset of personal growth. If the religion of church is God, then the religion of, I guess, the team that I'm trying to build is basically self-improvement, where we just understand our flaws, we take ownership, and we just want to get 1% better every day. Yeah.
Awesome. How did you manage a 6-figure business in uni then?
Yeah. So my first year I earned 145K. Second year was 250,000. Third year was 297. Fourth year was close to about 400 plus K. That was my fourth year in my business as a financial advisor. And after my graduation, I had a lot more time because school was over, right? And that's when I actually started my digital marketing agency business. That was in midst of 2020 when COVID happened and people were actually looking for marketing, right? Online digital marketing. And I realized that a lot of things can be done online. So you don't need a brick and mortar business. You don't need to rent a place. You don't need to hire so many employees, right? You can simply just sell something online, sell a service online, and it doesn't require much capital or much skills to set up. In fact, all that I learned about marketing was actually through YouTube. Yeah. So people focus on their lack of resources. I focus on resourcefulness because now with AI and GPT and YouTube, there's so much things out there that you can just learn and ask and just seek advice from, and you can actually do what you want to do just a few clicks and a few questions away. So I think what helps me to stay, I guess, manage my time properly is definitely proper systemization, proper time management of my time, and also about really delegating my tasks, right? So by the time I was in year three, I used to do all my cold calling myself. So everything in this business is done 100% by myself. But by the time I was in year two, I started to hire my first staff, right? And there's so many ways that you can hire a virtual assistant nowadays. And by the time I was in year three, I did not do a single cold call anymore. So I started to hire a team of telemarketers, and they were cold calling nonstop for me, like 20, 30 hours a week. I was spending about 3 to 5K a month on business. And I think that's also one limiting factor for most people who want to scale but they can't, because they have this mindset, oh, every dollar that I spend, they're very stingy about the dollar, right? Like, they spend 3K a month on business marketing, and then they feel like, I shouldn't spend 3K. But to me, that 3K is about, if I can spend 3K to earn 20K, I would definitely spend it, right? Rather than spend 1K to earn 7K, right? If I spend 5K, I earn 20K, then it makes total sense to spend that 5K to earn that 20K, right? So it's that having that business mindset that every dollar that you put in is just another investment, and business is just another. It's probably a better way to invest your money than stocks, because stocks, you wait a few years for it to quadruple. But in business, I know that with a proper system, a proper machine, I put in 3K today and out comes 15K by the end of 2 months, right? So you quadruple your money in 2 months. In a stock market, how long does it take for you to quadruple your business? Yeah.
How long have you had this business mindset for, and how long did it take for you to become a millionaire with it?
Okay, interesting. I would say I really don't know where this business mindset came from. It's not like I came from like parents with they're just normal humble employees. Until now, I mean, I would say I really am not sure. Like I'm not sure where that influence came from, but it was it was since when I was 21, when I hired my first virtual assistant. That was the start of a business mindset. It means the shift from becoming an operator to becoming an owner, right? That shift, that was like that small spark. I knew that I gotta do PowerPoint slides, right? I gotta create a brochure to sell myself to a potential client, or like a PowerPoint slide. And I knew that I suck at PowerPoint slides. I knew that I suck at graphic design. I suck at this at just visually showing things. I'm not a very aesthetic person. But I know that there are people out there who are willing to trade their skills for money, right? And for me, I have money, but I want to buy those skills. So it's really just a natural barter trade of, I have the money, you have the skills, we just exchange that, right? So knowing what I'm weak at and knowing what other people are strong at, and I know that, hey, I can buy this person's and leverage on this person's time and skills, and then buy back time for myself. So that was the start, and that was how it escalated, right? From not just from a simple thing like a brochure to something like cold calling. I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to do my admin work, right? I don't want to spend time doing all the dirty work, right? So that's how I shifted from an operator to a ownership mindset. And yeah, I made my first meal by 26, 24 years, 25.
Wow, nice. It seems like people would think that you have a lot of awareness when it comes to these kind of things. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. For people that want to join your team, what are you looking out for?
Yeah, so there's actually 4 qualities that we're looking out for. So what we're trying to build is basically not just a business, but also a franchise, right? Where we give you all the standard SOPs, procedures. We give you the lead gen methodologies, the scripts, the templates. Really just, it's all about doing, right? And my dream is that I can build a team where they come in, they simply take the resources that we have, and they don't have to be constrained by it, right? That means they don't have to like spend 10 hours a day trying to figure out, oh, how do I build a PowerPoint slide? Because we already built that PowerPoint slide that they can take as a reference from, and then duplicate it and make it even better, right? So we want people who are coming in with that can-do spirit. That means they come in and they're not like, oh, it's too risky, too difficult, but they actually come in and they actually execute things at the speed of thought. That means when you think that you want to do something, that's when you actually do it, right? If God said, let there be light, then there was light. Then to be like God, then the moment you decide that you got to do something, that's when you actually execute and do it, right? So that speed of execution is super important because the moment I think that I have to do this thing, I know that I got to do this now, right? And the friction between me thinking and me doing, that has to be minimized as much as possible. And sometimes that reduction of friction also involves a bit of hiring, a bit of employing, a bit of investments, right? And so that's the first thing, right? Which is the speed of execution. Second thing that we're looking out for is that humility, right? Like you mentioned, the ability to stay grounded. I've seen ego kill people's career, right? I know for a fact that people get successful, they hit the MDRTs, COTs, TOTs, and then they get proud, okay? And that really is their biggest downfall. So we want to find people who know that, they have an open mind. They have that open mind that, hey, actually this business is actually doable, right? Because some people, they are kind of like stuck in the matrix, right? That the only way to succeed is, get a good grades in school, get a good job, 9 to 5, blah, 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 right? But sometimes it takes a bit of open-mindedness to think that actually business is potentially something that they want to do and they can do and they actually do it, right? So that open-mindedness to start something and that humility that, they're willing to take that first step. Because sometimes people get those stereotypes about FAs and all that. But actually what we're building is not a typical FA business. It's actually a business model, right, that people can tap on and replicate, right? So it takes that first open mind to understand more and to stay grounded, to be coachable as well, right? Because if you are new in this business and you are, coming in with all this pride and arrogance, then you're not actually absorbing, you're not actually applying what we are trying to tell you, right? And the last one is actually the resourcefulness. Like what I mentioned, you can't buy a house today, but you can borrow from a bank. You can't build your financial future today, but you can borrow and leverage upon all the resources that we have given inside our coaching platforms and also the different resources that we are giving away. But of course, also online as well. There's so much resources online. And that's why, now is the best time to start a business because there's AI, there's social media, there's so many ways that it's not about the MNC who has the biggest budget anymore. You can hire 10 developers, right? You can byte code a software app in just a few hours, right? You can use Claude to create something in just a couple of minutes, right? So it's all about, it's not about the skill now, it's about the ideas now, right? It's when now you have the ideas, you don't need the skill, right? You just need to have the idea. And then the skill work can be done by either outsourcing or just using AI to execute on that particular idea. So it's about having that brain of business to just think and use leverage on tools out there to actually iterate and execute on those ideas. Yeah.
What about someone who sees this and it's like, wow, you can earn 100K, 200K a month, a year doing FA. Let's do it. But in their first few weeks, they realize, I don't have any appointments.
Yeah, so I think appointment setting, lead generation is definitely one of the biggest problems that new advisors face. But I realized that that's actually not the real problem after a while, right? It's not about how many leads you have, but it's about how converting your marketing funnel is. So nowadays I realize that it's never about the lack of leads. Like all my advisors have a ton of leads, right? But it's about how you convert, right? The marketing funnel conversion is probably the bigger bottleneck for these new advisors that join me. Maybe for advisors in other teams, maybe the lack of leads might be the bottleneck. But over here, we want to make sure that the lack of leads is not the bottleneck, but it's more of what is the down the funnel kind of problems that they face. Like for example, show up rates, right? Maybe a bottleneck. Maybe the conversion rate may be a bottleneck, or maybe the recurring business or the LTV of the customer is the bottleneck, right? So it's not about the front end. So we want to really optimize the front end first, of course. But we want to ensure that it's not a lack of leads that's going to be a problem, right? It's more of the other things that might be a bottleneck. Maybe it's a show up rates. If it's a show up rates, then you probably have to change up the scripting templates, right? And the way you call them, right? Of course, we can go super technical on how we can improve every single part of the funnel. But if you want to sum up the income in just kind of like a simple formula, right? It's about the will multiplied by weight divided by friction. Okay, so we analyze. I want to analyze their success based on these three factors. First of all, do you have the will in the first place, right? Are you even motivated to actually have enough appointments in the first place, right? Are you energized enough? Are you in a good state, like what Melvin so said, right? So, many ways to discover that, whether they have the will. Secondly, is about the way. Do you know exactly what to say, to do, to actually get the person to show up and to convert? And divided by the friction, which is how easy it is for you to do all these things, right? So a lot of agencies give you the will, that means just motivate you, rah you. But that's not enough, right? Because the will has to be complemented by the way as well. So you need to have the way, telling you what exactly you do. Oh, call 100 people, show up, and maybe meet 7 clients. But it's not just about telling you exactly what to do, but also about how easy it is, right? How easy it is for you to call 100 people. How easy it is for you to spend 2 hours every day doing appointments, right? So it's also about reducing friction as well. That means how easy it is for you to do all those things. And what I do is looking at friction as a force. It's either a multiplier or a force diminisher, right? Because you can have all that push right at the start with motivation, but if everything takes so much friction, right? Imagine like it's like a Ferris wheel, and you're pushing this Ferris wheel, but when you want to push the Ferris wheel, it's just so much friction to get to the next step. Then that motivation at the start, that initial push at the start that you get, is not gonna last long in the long term, right? So again, utilizing AI, okay, having proper SOPs, making it easy to find certain pieces of data in our knowledge base, for example, something as super stupid like that, right? Or not knowing where to find information, where do I find this or that? All these things are very on the ground stuff that no amount of motivation talks will actually change, right? So we want to make it so easy to do anything that it doesn't require such a high level of motivation to do that thing. If everything's so difficult, yes, you need a lot of motivation to do it. But if everything is easy, then the amount of motivation needed and discipline needed to do things is a lot more alleviated. So if we focus on reducing friction first, then we focus on motivation and discipline, I would say that would be a more sustainable way, so that every single effort that you put into a system is then multiplied 3 or 4 times, because it's a Ferris wheel it's a well-oiled machine rather than a machine with a lot of problems when you want to push it. Yeah.
If let's say they really don't have any appointments, do you recommend them going to friends and family?
Right. So this is the warm market versus cold market kind of questions. Yeah. So I would say that the question of whether you want to go warm or whether you want to cold really depends on you, right? Your network, right? So we don't want to make it a human problem, right? Where because you are the biggest bottleneck because you don't have enough friends or family or enough network, right? So for many agencies, they hire agents who have very good network, and of course that's a great advantage for them. But many students who join this career especially don't have that network, or maybe they don't have rich uncles, rich aunties. I never started this career with any warm networks at all. In fact, most of my cases now are actually really through the pure grind of really reaching out to people that don't know me. That means converting a stranger from a total stranger to someone that actually likes you, trusts you, and eventually buy from you, a paying and recurring customer. So it's a real business model that requires every level of the funnel to be optimized as much as possible. But if you are purely just reaching out to friends, of course, then that's a lot easier. But I don't believe in monetizing our friendships or relationships, because I think that is kind of manipulative in a way that you are making friends for the sake of eventually selling them a certain product. And I believe that the biggest businesses in the world don't build a business upon just friends and family, right? It's about building a proper business model, proper business brand and funnel to convert non-paying customers, strangers, to eventually paying customers. So I believe that you shouldn't be the bottleneck of the business by virtue of your network, right? Being limited, right? If your network is limited, there's always ways that you can reinforce that, right? Through proper marketing, right? Whether it's ads, roadshows, cold callings, doing all sorts of online lead generation methods, ways that you can actually get leads. Just being creative, right? And it's not just about dialing random numbers, right? That's not how it works. It's about being creative in your value. And now the beauty of this way of marketing is that now we're focusing on raising our value rather than raising our trust, right? Because if you want to sell to a friend, all you have to do is just raise the trust enough and ask him to buy from you, right? And then that's kind of like you focus a lot on the trust side, but you just tell, hey, this is good for you, and then he buys. But when people come in, they want to find the best heart surgeon. They don't ask they don't choose a heart surgeon because he's my friend, right? They choose a heart surgeon because he's the most well established. He is competent. He has the skill. He has the testimonials. He has the value to actually solve my problem, right? So I believe in the long term, it's not the trust that you're building, right? But it's about how much value that you're able to bring to the table. But because if you're doing cold, you start off with very little trust, but because of the lack of trust that you have to focus so much on building your value. And that's where the difficulty is. And that's why most people find it hard to do cold or cold market lead generation, because the amount of skill it takes for you to bring value to the table to a person that doesn't trust you is humongous. But the ability to just bring trust, like, just tap on the trust that you've already built, of course, that's a lot easier, right? So warm is a lot easier in the short term, but once it runs out, then that's going to be quite difficult. But if you can do cold and you can survive with cold, you can always do warm anytime, right? And you've probably set the bar and the skill level so high that, it's anytime that you can just reach out to your friends and they'll immediately trust you and purchase from you. So cold first, then warm, rather than warm first. And once the warm runs out, you want to do cold, that's going to be extremely tough for you.
I think psychologically also it's a big blow if warm doesn't turn out the way you want it to be, right? Exactly. But then you mentioned about skill also. Is that the real reason why most FAs fail in their first year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they come in blind. They don't know what financial advisory is. They don't know what products to sell. They don't know how to sell the product. Because I know advisors who go into the industry thinking that it's all about knowledge. It's all about knowing what the product is. But actually, it's not about that, right? Because it's about the communication of your value as well. Like what Melvin shared just now. It's not about just knowing the product and just repeating line by line the products and the features of the product, but it's about how you communicate that value to your customers, right? And sales, it's different from coaching. Sales is different from teaching someone, right? If you're a tuition teacher, yeah, you can just dump a lot of stuff, but I believe that sales is also not just about dumping all sorts of information, but also helping and guiding that person reach a certain conclusion, right? And that entire process is basically an orchestrated thing. That means there has to be certain hoops that the customer jumps through, right? And once they pass all these hoops, then they eventually buy a certain product, right? And for that to happen, one really needs to understand the psychology of sales, right? Robert Cialdini's principles of persuasion, etc., urgency, scarcity, blah blah blah, right? There's many techniques to use. I mean, psychologically speaking, that helps our customers make a good decision, right? And you can't just come in knowing that, just as long as I dump in all this information, people are going to buy from me, right? So it's not about being competent or knowledgeable, but also how to transfer that competence and value and conviction to the other party, right? Yeah.
If you could start over again, or if you had someone tell you at the beginning of your career the most impactful advice ever, what would that be?
I would say one biggest regret I have in this journey is that I didn't start my mentorship journey earlier. So I was always in the weeds of just being an operator as a financial advisor, basically just being a normal financial consultant. The thing is, my agency, my leader, my mentor didn't really encourage me to go the mentorship route. Of course, for reasons that in FA we basically earn our sales. There's this thing called overriding, right? That means other people would earn our overriding. So of course, me elevating or promoting would mean that the agency would actually lose their overriding over me, right? And if I had started on this leadership journey earlier, of course things would have maybe turned out differently, where maybe by now I would be leading like a 30, 40 people district or agency. But I believe that that weakness of me not being a leader first is also something that has been a blessing as well. Meaning being a consultant for 8 years, right? Just doing the grind every single day of being a salesperson, reaching out to people, prospecting, and all that stuff while building businesses and everything has shaped me to who I am today. That means if I was a leader 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been a good leader because I wouldn't have made the mistakes that I had made, right? So all these failures, all these mistakes, lessons I made actually has helped me to and it has transferred into like battle scars that I can like just share and tell and ensure that the people that join me do not have to suffer those same failures and battle scars that I did, right? So I would say that biggest mistake or biggest regret that I have not being a leader is actually also my biggest strength because now I'm trying to really do like the things for them and give them the support that I wish I had at the start, right? Whatever failures and mistakes I did, I look back 10 years and now I compress and crystallize everything into like a one-to-one course, a one-to-one, in our one-to-one sessions, making sure that the systems are in place that they do not make those same mistakes. So they don't have to go through that 8 years of struggle that I did to be who I am today, right? So I would say that is one regret that I have, but also something I really want to make the best of and really do like 10x better for myself and my team moving forward.
What's the hardest thing about building a team?
Honestly, it's about getting the buy-in, right? It's about having that delicate fine line between many of your decisions. Like, do you want to punish this person? Okay, it's about do you want to set rules to be so punitive, or do you want to set rules to be less punitive, right? Because if you set punitive rules, then people kind of like get less disciplined, right? But if you set very punitive, very harsh rules that, oh, if you're late for a minute, I'm going to fine you $100 or something like that, right? Then will that also reduce the morale of your team, right? So it's finding a fine line as well. Do you want to be super strict or do you want to start making exceptions? But once you start making exceptions, then the rate of deviance and making mistakes and being ill-disciplined starts to go higher and higher and higher, okay? And definitely the biggest difficulty of building a team is also that I have to be kind of like almost everything for my team members, right? Whether it's their cheerleader, whether it's their coach, whether it's their mentor, whether it's their web developer, their digital marketer, their systems builder, their hirer, delegator, and maybe some emotional. So I have to be all of those things to my team. It's about putting my heart and soul into it. So it's about also acknowledging that leadership is also a sacrifice, right? It's always going to be a sacrifice. I lost about $180,000 of sales this year just to manage a team. Right? It means it's about understanding that at the start of this whole journey is going to be a lot of shit, right? 1-2 years of negative growth. That means I will literally lose $180,000 of money, of my own money, doing this. And it's understanding that this is a sacrifice, but it's also understanding that this sacrifice is worth it as well. Because if we can look at the long game, right? Like what Alex Hormozi says, this 2 years of 1 year is going to be an insignificant thing. Right, all this nonsense that I'm going through to build a team is going to be worth it in the long term, right? And eventually, when they grow up to become good financial advisors, good, successful FAs on their own right, then eventually, hopefully, they will thank me, they will remember me, and I know that I have built a legacy that outlives me beyond, my time here. So, it's a sacrifice, the acknowledgement of it, but also knowing that it's actually going to be worth it.
Okay, you mentioned legacy also. Imagine 5 years from now, all your members are watching you, your whole team. What do you want to say to them? And what do you want them to be known for?
I would say thank you for trusting me, even though I was actually still a new leader, right? Not much credentials in terms of my leadership, right? In terms of like really, yes, 9 years of building this, but of course, thanks for trusting me as well. And thanks for actually riding this journey with me. And you guys are all founding members of this new vision that we're building towards, and I would say that it's my privilege and honor to actually help you, to coach you, and be a part of your success. So when you get rich, please don't forget about me.